Hi, I'm Rick Martino. Thank you for joining me today as I sit down with a guest whose life journey I hope you will find inspiring, entertaining, and interesting. Visiting us today is Marcos Cabral. He's a branch manager with Prime Mortgage Capital here in South Florida. Marcos, welcome.
Thank you, buddy.
to
Thank you for having me.
Conversations with Rick Martino.
I love it. Thank you for having me, brother.
Awesome, man. So we're going to talk a little bit about you today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
You're someone that I've known for quite a while.
Yeah.
You know, I think about 9 years now.
Yeah.
You know, and it has been my pleasure to share, time and space with you here in at the Prime. And it's just been a super adventure, and I plan to have that continue that way.
God willing, right?
Yeah. So I know you really well, but a lot of people don't, And I think that you're a very inspirational person. So I really wanted to sit down with you for a little while and kind of speak a little bit about your experiences,
Yeah.
coming up in this business and in life in general.
Of course.
Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Awesome. All right, so I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to take the path that you took? Like, how did you come to this business world?
So, I got started in this industry getting my mortgage broker license back in like 2005, 2006, which is basically the heyday, right?
The heyday, okay.
I used to be a teller at a bank, right?
Okay.
Teller at a bank, and I used to
Okay.
cash all the brokers' checks and all this, and that's kind of how I got integrated and learning what the mortgage industry actually was, what real estate was. So that's kind of really how I got into, finance and banking and all that, because I would get all these people coming in, cashing their checks, and you'll be like, wait, what's going on? Where do you work? Oh, I work for a mortgage company. All right, what do you guys do? Oh, we do this, da, da, da. And I kind of started learning. I started seeing these people on a regular basis. So I'm like, well, how do you get into that? Oh, this is what you do. So it was very interesting to me. The amount of just not freedom, but the way this business actually works, operates, what you're doing, how you're helping the clients, all that, and it just encompasses so much, the way you're helping people achieve these dreams. And, it really kind of, it took a hold of me. I asked a lot of questions every time I saw these people, became friends, obviously, because I saw them on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
They told me where to go, how to get my license, the whole thing, did that.
Amazing.
But like
Yeah.
everybody else, you first get in and you don't know what to do. Right. So you get your license, you're like, well, what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
So back then in 05, 06, it was a lot, it was a lot of subprime. There was brokers. There was a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I ended up joining a broker shop, actually. But there was nothing. There was no training, no nothing. The guy's like, figure out a deal and then call me and I'll help you out. Right. It was one of those things.
Wow. Cold.
Just let me know when you have something.
Wow.
So, I needed really a place to go work and where there was some sort of training, lead, something, right? And I came across, Ames Home Loan, which got bought out by Accredited Home Lenders, which ended up being Home Funds Direct, right? That's where I got really my first step into the industry for real, right? I joined that company, and I was just, from the day of the interview, I was like, I love this.
What kind of training did they provide?
So, number one, when I first walked in, it looked like a scene from the movie Boiler Room. That's exactly what happened. I walked in and I felt like I walked into the movie Boiler Room, right?
Okay.
Which I loved the movie Boiler Room at that time, right? I love it. I still love it to this
Everybody
day.
on the phones.
Everybody on the phones.
For somebody what that's like.
You have workstations, a bunch of 20-something-year-olds with headsets, pitching deals, and getting clients and ringing the bell when they get a sale. And I was there for like 20 minutes just watching all this happening before they called me in for the interview. And I was like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Really? That excited you?
Yeah, I loved it. It immediately caught me.
Was it the energy?
It was the energy. It immediately caught me. I was like,
So
it's a
cool.
wrap. I'm in. But by the time that, I went in for my interview, I'm still looking around. I'm walking around this office, going into the manager's office. I'm looking around. And the guy goes, well, what do you think? And I go, have you ever seen the movie Boiler Room? He started laughing. He goes, you're our guy.
Are you serious? Like that?
He goes, of course you've seen the
It was
movie
like a
Boiler
meeting
Room.
of the minds.
Meeting of the minds. And believe it or not, so that person who interviewed me, that was Louis Beto, which, rest in peace, was our dear Prime
Absolutely.
member, my business partner, passed away years ago. That's the one who really gave me that foot in. right? Brought me into the industry because I already had my license, but I didn't know what I was doing. I really wasn't doing anything
So
until
you met
until
Louis
that moment.
Beto at that moment.
At that moment.
You're
At
kidding
that
me.
moment. He's the
That's-
one that first brought me into that interview, hired me, and the rest is history.
Right. And Louis Beto is instrumental, really, in sort of the foundation
100%.
of this business that
100%.
you've established throughout all these years. You know,
Yeah, 100%.
It's like you guys did a flagship program
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
right? And you sailed that ship, right, till today and beyond.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh wow, that's just a
we
great
did we
story.
did some amazing things, and obviously the market took some turns. 08, 09, you know how that went, and made it here. Became part of PRMG in 2013, and
Let's
been
talk,
here ever since.
Let's talk a little bit about when you meet Louis and you guys are doing all this, and then you decide one day, okay, we've got to do this for ourselves. We're gonna step aside from the corporate, somebody else's corporate structure,
Right.
And we're gonna do our own.
Right. So we did
Corporate
that.
structure.
So we did that twice, right? So we were at at Home Funds Direct. We were at the retail side, subprime loans. That's what we were selling. It was on the phones, pitching all day long. That's what it was. Around 2007, the market started getting a little wonky. That's kind of when it started, right? A lot of lenders were going out of business. The implodometer came out every day.
Yes.
Somebody else was
Every
going out
day.
of business.
Every day.
It was crazy, right? Every single day. So you're always watching. You're like, what's going on? We're watching our stock price go down, down, down. We're like, what's going on here? So around like July, August of 2007, around there, we have a corporate call. They're like, guys, we're strong. We're not going anywhere. Don't worry.
Sure.
If you're invested in our stock, buy more, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, hoorah. We're good, right?
Yeah.
I think that was like on a Thursday or Friday. That Monday, I'm driving to the office,
Buy
and on
more
the
stock.
radio,
Buy more stock.
and on the radio it goes, Home Funds Direct, accredited home lenders just shut down the retail side. And I go, what? That's where I work. What do you mean they shut down? Nah, that has to be a joke. I walk into the office, all the lights are off. It's done. I walk in, I go, hey, what's going on? He goes, it's over. Pack up.
Oh,
So at that moment,
that's cold. That's cold again.
That was
Once
cold.
again,
That
that's so
was
cold.
cold.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at that moment, we're like, okay, we gotta pack up. What are we doing now? So that's when Beto and I first basically said, you know what, let's do our own thing.
Oh, that's a.
So we
it's a
opened our
great
first
story,
office. Yeah, we opened our first office August 2007, and then 08 hit the following year, and you already know
So
what
you
happened
opened
there.
up your first office in August 2007, right?
August 2007.
So
Small little
What's
office.
that office made out of? Is it just you and Beto?
It was
or-
me, Beto, Henry Nin, which is here still with us
Oh
to
my
this
goodness,
day.
Henry. Yes. Uh-huh.
And a couple other buddies, which are still in the mortgage industry. One that's since left, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
From that group, the only one still around from that era is Henry Nin, which is still here actually.
And did you have support, like support staff, or is it just pure sales?
No, just pure sales. It was
pure
only
sales.
sales. We had outsourced processing. Back then, things were a little different.
Mm-hmm.
So you can outsource processing a different way. You can have someone. It was just totally different back then. Regulations really changed around 2009. So it was just us. It was just an office with like 5 guys in it, one open show with desks, and that was it. Buy some leads, pitch. The
Talk
same thing we were
about-
already used to.
Talk about those 5 guys, and really everybody that came afterwards. Was there a cultural target that you have at that time? Like you said, okay, we want these type of individuals with us. We want this type of professional spirit in the room. Did you have anything like that?
No, not really, because everyone there, we were all friends. So we all just kind of came together for that
so
common goal.
that's easy.
It was a bunch of buddies.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
5
yeah.
guys in an office, and we're all friends.
That's beautiful.
And that's kind of how it went. And remember, we came over from the retail side, lead generation driven, where we're calling leads that we're just purchasing. Then you jump over to this side where it's now, and we're refi. I mean, we're 98% refi.
Right.
Then we jump onto this side. Now we have to learn how to actually cultivate realtor relationships and all that. So the business kind of took a little bit of a shift, but that went well. We started doing a lot of condo conversion loans. That was really big back then.
Right.
And we just did different projects, and we, rode that wave for a good, year and change until 08 hit, and And the rest is history.
And
from there.
well, that part is history, but your history is very amazing though, because you go through '08, right?
Yeah.
And you ride that wave and you come out on top of that wave.
Yeah.
Because by the time I meet you, which is many years later,
Yeah.
right? 9 years ago now, right?
Yeah.
You have an office in Doral, you and Louis Beto, and you have processors, loan officers in there. You have all kinds of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that show is on the road.
Yeah. And that was, believe it or not, so when we opened that office, we were brokers. And little by little, we were losing every lender, right? Little by little. And we got to a point where we're like, dude, how do we get like our own underwriters? How do we become bankers? Like our goal was that. It didn't happen until many, many years later, right? Until we came and joined up with PRMG. But at that time, we were like, well, how do we get to this so that we don't have to rely on, these outside lenders? They're all going out of business. We were literally losing a lender a day.
Wow.
We got down to our last lender in like August, September of '08, something like that. And I remember the AE calling one day. He goes, listen, if you have any files, send them in right now because I don't know when they're going to pull the plug. And we were literally just sending the entire pipeline. And one day he just calls and says, it's over. Second time I heard it's over in a year.
This is important.
So you see these roller coasters, and a lot of people, back then they were like, I'm not getting back into mortgages. I'm done. They moved on. I kind of just stayed with it and just weathered the storm. Joined a local correspondent at that time and just kind of just went through the wave until we got here.
That's what I wanted to ask you, It's like, now this is the second time you hear this, right? You're on your own. You guys are on your own. You're trying to build your business, whatever, and they keep
pulling the plug.
Pulling the plug on you.
Pulling the
right?
rug, yeah, 100%.
And you say, man, I'm going to persevere.
Yeah.
I'm going to persevere. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very, very interesting.
Well, remember, to me, the moment I got into the industry, I said, you know what, I'm all in on the industry. I love this. This is what I want to do. No matter what gets thrown my way, we're going to figure out a way to pivot, and we're going to figure it out.
That is awesome.
So I was not going to go anywhere. It didn't matter to me where the industry was at that moment. We'll figure it out. Eventually, it'll come back, right? So we, stuck it through. We stuck it through, and God willing, and thank God that we did, right?
Well, let's talk about even today. Where there's still somebody trying to pull plugs out of the wall, even today.
We're going through some similar situations. It's very, very different.
It is different, yeah.
But it's kind of similar, right? Because it's still kind of the same game and the whole thing, and you're kind of seeing what's transpiring, but it's very, very similar.
And your mindset throughout all these times, even today, is persevere, stick to the plan,
keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Keep going.
That's
well,
it.
That's like being a field marshal general. He's like, okay, so the situation has changed, the landscape has changed, but the end idea of what you want to accomplish, that doesn't change.
100%.
It's still the same. We want to win this.
100%.
We want to win this. So it takes somebody that knows how to steer a ship, through difficult waters and difficult times to go ahead and get you, right, through those times and land you in port, which I think is what you do.
Right.
I think it's very important to realize that, that this is what you've done and this is what you continue to do.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to you if I were wearing a hat.
Just... Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
So that's very cool. Let's. I gotta switch the gears on you for a little bit because work is work, fine. But you're a human being. You're a person. You're a man with a family and stuff. How do you balance all of this career and all this building that you've done?
Yeah.
And just not just go like you. Well, I know that you're all in, but you're not all in to the point of ignoring important people in your life.
Of course.
So how do you balance your life?
Listen, work-life balance, anybody will tell you when you're chasing goals, work-life balance becomes a little bit of a difficult situation. It's challenging. It really is. You just have to find that time and figure out a schedule that works around you and your family, right?
Yeah,
like for me, my weekends are devoted to my wife and kids.
Absolutely,
that's what we do, right?
We
whatever it is, we're always spending time together on the weekends. I try to make it home, at a decent time before they go to bed. But, obviously there's certain responsibilities and you have to do certain things. And sometimes, there are those late nights, but the days that you don't have to have a late night, you just kind of figure it out. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's not difficult, but you just got to figure that out.
But that speaks volumes of your partner too.
100%.
Because she wants you to be victorious, because what's victory to you is victory to her, victory to your daughters.
Of course.
Right?
Of course. That plays a big role, if not the biggest. Right? That plays a big role, if not the biggest.
You could have somebody that's against what you're trying to do, and that totally, puts
a wrench in the operation.
Absolutely.
100%. No, if you do not have that support system at home, it is very, very difficult to get to certain levels
100%.
When it comes to your career or your business. 100%.
100%.
So that's an extremely important role that my wife plays at home with our daughters, and my hat goes off to her.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it comes to that, right? Because
Absolutely.
that's probably a much more difficult job, if anything.
I agree.
Right?
I agree 100%.
So, but yeah, it's just finding that time where where the family life does not suffer, right? But also the business life does not suffer either. You gotta fight. You gotta figure out a way.
Be that balance.
Yeah, there's gotta be something. You can't be just all in on one because the other one's gonna suffer. You gotta, kind of figure out a happy medium for everything.
I think you do it very well, very successfully. And I know your wife, and I see how you guys work it out. It's really very impressive.
Thanks, man.
And I think that would be a healthy advice to anyone who's trying to be in your shoes.
Yeah.
Right. Is having that life balance. I'm gonna dig a little more into you right now. Okay. As a fun person, do you have anything outside of the business and your family that is a hobby or anything like that you enjoy?
As you get older and you have kids and you got career and your kids, the hobbies take a little bit of a backseat
Yeah, they
sometimes.
do. Yeah, they do.
Right?
Yeah, they
you
do.
gotta still figure out a way to kind of implement them here and there. But my main thing, if anything, is hanging out with my kids. My
that's
daughters.
beautiful.
Whatever it is that they want to do, my life is devoted to them on the weekends. But if I could sneak in some golf here and there, I would love to sneak in
So
some
it's
golf here and there.
It's golf. That's fun. That's fun.
I haven't gotten out there in a long time, but it's fun and it's relaxing. It's one of those things that I was turned on to back in 2008 actually, when the market was crashing. I was really stressed out, and Beto actually said, I know the remedy for that stress. And that's where I was introduced to golf.
That's very interesting, because
that's actually how that happened.
I remember coming into the office and there being
Golf clubs
bags
with
and
the
golf clubs.
And the little mat,
in the office, and mats were everywhere.
Yeah, mats were everywhere. Yeah,
I wish they still were everywhere. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But yes, I do recall that. So that's interesting.
That's how I was introduced to the game of golf.
A lot of people.
I'm terrible, but
a lot of people see that as
I like to at least be there. It is pretty stressful.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Sky.
Yeah,
So,
you're
hey,
out.
man.
The wind's hitting you. You're on the grass. It's fun.
I'm gonna ask you one last question. Okay, one last question, and again, it's about you, because we all have people that inspire us or that we look up to.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not a people. Sometimes it's an actor or a cartoon character or a
Bugs Bunny.
a family member.
I would say Bugs Bunny is my kidding.
I could see that, especially the teeth. So, it's like, what do you have a hero or heroes? That you go, man. They inspired my character. How about that? That's a little different. They inspired my character.
Character. Okay. I don't know about a lot of how I live my life is very maybe sports driven analogies, certain things. If I would say anyone that inspires, I would say, if anything, with most people in our age bracket, I would say Michael Jordan. Right? Okay. Michael Jordan, if anything, when you look at his history, his work ethic, just how he really just pushed through absolutely anything, right? That just speaks wonders, right? Like, there's nothing you cannot do. Right. You can just go right through. Just even life after basketball, what he's been able to accomplish business-wise takes a tremendous amount of work ethic and diligence. It's just what he's been able to accomplish in his life is unreal, right?
Man, that's a great hero to have.
Yeah. So if anything, I would say that man's work ethic, if anything, inspires a lot of people. They need to, I know they've done the documentaries on him. You watch that, it inspires you. It's an amazing story. So if anything, I would say that. Michael Jordan is probably one of
Great.
those pioneers.
Marcos, I want to thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, man.
To sit down with me and talk about you.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated, and I hope that other people are just as inspired and fascinated and take your words and your history and your life and apply it to themselves, because I think there's a lot of value in who you are and your words. So thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, brother.
It.
Appreciate
it,
you.
my brother.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for watching. I hope you'll join me next time for another conversation. Till then, stay safe, be kind, and always be curious.